You're listening to Just 3 Clicks, and this is episode number 10, To Infinity and Beyond, Looking to the Future. Nindy wrote that title.
Yeah, he did.
That's not something I would say normally. Infinity and Beyond. That's Toy Story, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Buzz Lightyear, that.
All right, okay. So I'm here with Jamie today. It's been a while, hasn't it? When did we do our last one?
Before lockdown, way before. Was it? I would near Fade to Black launch February.
Oh my God,
I think
that's a long time
so.
ago.
That's like seven months. Is
Yeah.
it?
Been a while.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's probably a good thing to start with. Really, is like so we've obviously we're kind of getting over the initial hurdle of the COVID situation, and we've actually just got the staff back in, didn't we?
Yeah. Recently.
So that was what, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks ago. But we've been quite flexible, I would say, with it all. But
Yeah.
obviously, we had some news yesterday that everybody should work from home again. So all the steps we've taken to have everybody back in, they can all go back home. But I think one of the things, I was chatting to a friend of mine at the weekend on Sunday while I was watching footy, and I don't even know what he does as a job, but he's like a tradesman, or he does something in the trade. And he was talking about the lockdown, and I was saying, well, it doesn't really matter for us because we have like 50 plus staff now remotely, the majority remotely. So
Yeah.
to have the staff that we have in here and the team members in here work remotely, it doesn't really matter. It does in the sense that you can't collaborate as well. That's what I've found to be one of the biggest things. I think we'll probably talk about on here, collaborating over things like the new videos, new features. It's hard to do that on a call. It's so much easier in a room. But because we're so remote, I just thought, well, it's not really going to bother us. And if we look back, if we talk about sales as well, like our sales took off
Yeah.
at the beginning of lockdown. So, and we kind of went against the usual curve of you're in businesses are going to struggle, and a lot of businesses out there are going to struggle, but we seem to benefit from a lockdown. Why do you think that is?
Well, I just think because of everybody being at home, we just got more eyes on what we're doing, I guess.
Yeah, more eyes on Facebook and all of our ad platforms. Also, as well, one thing that I've always thought about with that is businesses in general who would use our platform are busy every day. So they're not looking like, if you take a restaurant owner, right, and probably a bad industry to choose really, but you take a gym owner, tire company owner, any sort of business owner, they're busy all day long in their business. They don't have time to go, do you know what, I'm going to look at how I can create video.
Yeah.
So maybe the time of lockdown when the government forced everybody to stop, it was the time where everyone went online and thought, well, I'll look at this video thing now.
Yeah,
and it's kind of
definitely.
sped up our industry, I think, a little bit. So I
Yeah.
think if we move back to people working from home again, we might see another huge boost to what we're doing.
Yeah, I remember when I went to Slough a couple of weeks ago and I went to the gym, and a guy in there instantly recognized my face. Actually, he recognized my voice from the YouTube ad and said, do you work in marketing? And he knew what the product was and everything. So he was basically saying that during the lockdown, he decided to look at how he could start selling stuff on the
Yeah,
internet.
yeah.
And I think that's all it is. People will start looking at ways to go online, and we will kind of crop up because
Yeah. I think, well, I've got loads of friends in the tradesman industry, electricians, builders, whatever. And one of my good friends who owns a building firm, when it went into lockdown, it was literally a weekend, and he'd message me saying, so what is it you do anyway? I'm going to check it out. He'd never had any, has interest in what I do. He's interested in this side because these are two different types of businesses, but that showed me that he would usually have no time.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, can I use some of this stuff for my marketing? I'm doing LinkedIn, I'm doing Facebook. That's what he said. And can I use some of the video stuff you do? So I think if he's doing that, everybody's doing it, and we might go through another stage. Well, we're not in lockdown yet, and I actually personally don't think we'll go into another lockdown, but who knows? I didn't think we'd.
I'm not sure.
I thought we'd be going to footy in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's basically where I was at. So
I feel like we probably will. This There's a few things that I don't quite understand, like the UK government over here. We've obviously got listeners from all over the world, but in the UK, what the PM here, Boris Johnson's saying is that there's like a curfew at 10 p.m. and there's just weird rules, and it's like I'm not too sure how it's going to be different from last time.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think businesses are going to adapt any better this time either. I think setting the curfew thing is probably a hindrance to a lot of hospitality businesses and businesses on the roads and stuff.
Well, I think even I was lucky enough to book a holiday at probably the perfect time to Greece before it was between the point of, and I took a little bit of a gamble with the family holiday. We've got maybe a 3 or 4 week window when everything was open. And we went on holiday and luckily had a great time. But one thing I noticed there was, and I know somebody in that industry who's recently lost a job through redundancies and things like that, and it's probably going to get worse. But one thing I noticed was some of the rules that other businesses are looking at what the PM's coming out in, and sometimes it can be a little bit cloudy and it can be quite hard to understand what the rules actually are. Such as the 10 p.m. thing, what's the difference between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m.?
Yeah.
All these different things. Everyone has their own opinions. But one thing I thought about when I went on holiday was, so we flew out and we had to wear a mask from literally the car park in the hotel, getting on the hotel, the airport bus, all the way to the hotel. And we went on the plane, all that. And I get that, wearing the mask through the airports, everybody's moving through. That's fine. Got on the plane. And then the two rules they had, which I thought were they're kind of contradictory, was number one, you don't have to wear a mask if you're eating or drinking. So obviously everybody generally on a plane is eating and drinking at some point. So the difference between that and being without a mask for the whole flight, I didn't really get that. It's a 4-hour flight. And they only did one service through. So they come through with the trolleys, with the food, drinks, whatever. And they only did one time to keep it safe. And I just thought, well, what's the difference between one time and 2 times? I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I
agree.
I think businesses are, and they have to do it because they're worried that people are going to attack them for not taking it seriously. So.
I mean, I went to Greece 4 days before you.
Yeah.
I was in Santorini and I thought the same thing on the flight. Like, I didn't really have it on during the flight because I had a drink, I was snacking on things, and I also took things on the plane from W.H. Smith. So I had stuff from somewhere else as well. And I just think, like, regardless of whether they're going up and down once or twice, everyone's hands are touching the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, and the stuff's been handled by so many people before prior to it getting to your tray, kind of thing. So I don't know. I just
there's the aircon thing as well. And again, I'm not an aircon specialist, so I may be totally wrong here. But I've read somewhere online that when we first went into lockdown, and it was at the time when you could go to the shop, but you had to only 2 people in shops at the same time, and whatever. And I don't think it was about the UK. It could have been a reporter or something in Italy, or a specialist in Italy had said the problem that nobody looks at is with aircon. As soon as you breathe or cough or sneeze anywhere in a store with aircon, that gets recycled through the entire store immediately. Almost immediately, just one time. Now, I don't know how true that is. I might be completely wrong there, so don't take that as verbatim. But I did watch something or read something about that, and I was thinking about that on the plane. Like, aircon on a plane is huge.
Yeah.
Recycling all the air on there. So I just thought, well, a lot of it. I mean, it's the same with nuts. It must be a case if somebody opens nuts at the back of the plane, someone at the front with a bad allergy, how are they? It'd have to go through the vents, wouldn't it?
I assume that's why they don't allow. Sometimes they don't allow peanuts to be open. Yeah,
they'll literally say nobody. They'd said it on the flight on the way out. Someone had a severe allergy and said nobody can open anything. So that, I mean, the plane's huge, so it must be because the air, the particles, whatever, get recycled. So how's that different?
I think you're right, actually. I've got that in my car. So when you turn AC on in my car, it basically has this function where it rotates the air from the back to the front, and it just goes back and forth.
So if someone at the back's eating and hasn't got a mask on, then how's that?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But again, I think it's more so, and we found it. You're just trying to do the right things, and you're trying to do right by who you employ, so that basically you're not going to get any backlash. That's probably what a lot of businesses are worried about.
Yeah, and we're all having to learn all this as we go. Like I don't know when we implemented it, but we started doing the thermometer gun thing. So Jasmine stands at the front door when everybody comes in to the morning through the office, and she takes everyone's temperatures. So we only just started doing that, really. And this has been going on for, a long time. So I don't know. But it looks like we're all going back home anyway. So I think I'm more mentally prepared for a lockdown this time, just because we've done it before.
I think I know my personal experience from lockdown last time was I had 2 kids at home from school, and I felt bad on my eldest, but we had great weather for like 2 months, 3 months, so you could spend time in your garden, and it felt almost like you were on a couple month long 6-week summer holiday or whatever. This time, I think if we go into a lockdown over winter, it'll be totally different because the weather.
It's Christmas.
Like
what's going to happen?
Yeah,
with Christmas?
exactly.
It's like a really going to be quite a depressing thing if we can't go to our families' homes.
Yep.
That would be horrific. So I don't know. In terms of business, I think it will be. I mean, I know it's a bit bad to say, but I think personally for our business, but in particular, I think it will be a beneficial thing, just because we've already seen what happens.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we had one of our biggest month ever. It was May, wasn't it? So
So
I think it would be beneficial to us, even though I think what's happened is I think it was David that said it in one of the meetings, and it's true. It's like COVID has sped up the adoption of video marketing in local businesses and businesses in general.
Yeah.
So an app like ours obviously thrives under that, and we've probably sped up our user generation probably 10, 20-fold maybe.
Yeah, because and also I think one of the other good things, well, I say it's a good thing, but one of the things we're working on out of this, despite the COVID thing, is our new version of Viddyoze.
Yeah.
So we have got a bit of a battle plan anyway, that we were going to kind of follow, I suppose.
Yeah. I think the new version of Viddyoze is going to be exciting as well, because I've just been putting together a webinar there, and I'm looking over all the old, from 2015. So, for anyone that doesn't know, we're 5 years on Tuesday. We first launched. And it was funny because I found an article which I fired over to you from an affiliate marketer that had written this review on our very first Viddyoze launch.
I've got it open now. Yeah.
And I remember at the time, because we never launched, obviously we didn't know what the platform was going to become, and we probably spent a day or two getting angry and stressed and whatever about this article. And when you read, thinking that it was a damaging article, it was going to harm how we were going to sell videos, we weren't going to be able to launch it as big as we wanted to because of this article. But when you read the article back now, there's some things that weren't quite right in it, but it's not really that critical. In fact, it's a positive article. It's just at the time when we're in that zone, we're thinking...
there's a paragraph here that says, the biggest drawback of the software is that there's no sound. The animations have no sound at all. While you can download a separate audio file with your animation, the animation has no audio in it. So I think what it was when we were rendering the video, it didn't attach the audio to the video.
We didn't automatically do it, did we?
God, I didn't realize that was
do you know what? I forgot about that. I thought we did automatically do it every time, but we must not have done it at the very beginning.
That's amazing. I don't remember it ever being like that.
So we give people audio, but they have to download it separately.
and then put it together somewhere.
I was going through before as well. What I always find incredible is, so right now if you buy Viddyoze, you get over 200 templates. Back then on that first one, you got 30 templates. That was it. And some of them weren't fully 3D animation. Because I remember one of the comments says, I think this is more 2D animation. It's not part of the animation. So I think where we've come, it's incredible to look at. We didn't even have breadcrumbs on the website.
That's what I'm just reading here. It says, basically, there's 4 steps. You got select, customize, confirm, and rendering, but you can't actually go back once you've gone through the settings. So you're just stuck with whatever selection you have, basically. That's pretty bad, really. But you know what? Looking at it, it's crazy, really, how much the product's changed. And I think looking at the new version that we're launching, so we're launching it in November. It looks like it's definitely the best looking version we've had, and the features look pretty exciting.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of things that we've needed in there. When I say needed, some of the things have taken us a lot longer to kind of build the tech around, because it's not just about adding on a few bells and whistles. We're actually going to change how the app works, how it performs. The user interface is going to be so much better. But I think some of the features we've got coming to multiple levels of Viddyoze in November are going to kind of take it up another level, I think. You know, and so we can support way more users, not just UK, US based and EU, but I mean RTL, looking at things like that as well. And whether we get all of this in time, we will see. But we've got some exciting things coming for that. I suppose we can't really go into much detail on.
Yeah, I mean, we won't talk about the specific features per se. I think we'll do more on that later. But you know, the whole purpose of that launch really is because we're trying to. There's a couple of different things happening in the business. We've obviously got our, you know, investment round kind of that we're hopefully building towards for the rest of the year. And, you know, this is just a really cool way to, I guess, prop up the product, refresh it, you know, before we actually go to market. It's like this exciting new thing. So that's kind of like the reason it's there. And as well, like, you know, if we do go into a lockdown, it's just going to be a good boost for us. Like, we're still stomping on and prodding on with whatever we're doing. Business is still growing. The product's still developing. So I think it just makes us look strong as a proposition.
I mean, look how much our team's grown as well over the past.
That's
I mean,
true,
this is something we've been probably bucking the trend on a lot. And I mentioned before, I know someone in the, you know, the airline industry that's recently been made redundant, and you can kind of understand how that's happened. But I know there's redundancies and people losing jobs in lots of different industries. And that's what, I mean, the news shouts about, job losses, doom, gloom. But when we look inside of the Viddyoze bubble, not only has our business absolutely exploded over the past 6-7 months, but we've hired 10 people recently, but I didn't actually know what our total workforce was until recently, when it was over 50, because we've always
said 35.
30 to 35 in meetings. It's, oh yeah, we hire 30 to 35 people globally.
Yeah.
Now it's, you know, it's 50 to 55. It's incredible, really.
Almost doubling up on the people here. I mean, the office is definitely busier, which it won't be in a couple of weeks, but it's quite cool to see loads of new people. And I think the people we're bringing in are, you know, very good as well. I think the experiences we've had from hiring in the past just like helped us to hire a lot better people. Like, I know you brought in Katie, who seems to be really bedding in quite well. Me and David spoke to her last week, and she seems to be doing a really good job. Nindy, who's actually encouraging us to do these podcasts now and putting them together, you know, he's doing a great job writing content for Medium and for a blog that we're hopefully going to be launching the blog soon. So I guess that's another thing we're looking forward to, is getting the blog out there. I suppose outside of like Viddyoze,
big hires in tech as well.
With
Ben coming in and
actually,
and Ollie as well. So
the development team's obviously pressing on, because we're doing the new version of Viddyoze, but we're also doing blocks, which used to be called Clipio. So now Nindy's put a note here saying maybe a backstory on Clipio might be useful.
Yeah. So Clipio we launched in, it was a year ago, wasn't it?
May last year,
More than a year ago. That's incredible. That how that time. I mean, lockdowns literally wiped half a year off everything. So so Clipio launched in May. The reason we built Clipio is, and I suppose this goes towards where we're going in the future as well. So Viddyoze is our animation creator. Then you've got Clipio that we launched in May, which is our video editor. And I say editor lightly because it's not a fully fledged Premiere Pro, but it's not meant to be. But you should be able to create any sort of video you can think of in that app, simple videos, quickly. Going to have the same mantra, or Clipio was meant to be the same mantra as what Viddyoze is. Quick, simple, few clicks, you can get a video out if you want, or you can spend a bit more time with an app like Clipio. Now, the problem with Clipio is, it's, you know, to be honest, it's nowhere near what we expected it to be. We got probably let down on the dev side of that. Obviously, we've upgraded our dev team since then, but it just wasn't what it was meant to be.
No.
And we launched it, and it did well on the launch, and we got tons of users inside the app, but we just feel they deserve a better app. But what we were trying to achieve and the vision for Clipio just was nowhere near, and that's where blocks is going to come. So those users that have bought into Clipio, are about to get a much better app and a much better environment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's essentially going to be something brand new, isn't it? It's not going to be anything.
Yeah.
It's not just an upgrade. It's a brand.
It's a new app.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like a Viddyoze 1 to Viddyoze 2, whatever.
No.
It's like the whole problem with Clipio, and it's still a good product. Look, it's not that Clipio shit. It's just that
Yeah.
the whole idea was that we tried to make it fast, and that's Clipio basically ended up being like a timeline editor in the cloud. So it was like almost like you're trying to use like a simple video editor in the cloud, which, you know, is too bitty for a cloud app. And the whole purpose of this relaunch is to try and make it less bitty and more just like, you know, like a block basically. So that's why it's called blocks, is because the whole idea of creating the video is based on just building these modules rather than like trying to nitty gritty navigate around this really intricate timeline. That sounds complex, but when we show it to people
It'll make
like
sense.
in a video, they'll see what that kind of means. But that's basically what we were doing, what we're going to be doing with that. And then I think that's going to probably change like our advertising as well a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we've always had videos as like our entry point into the business. Entry point. Sorry, there was an inappropriate joke before the podcast, and now that's just come back in my head. So the entry point for the videos business is basically the animation product. Now, obviously, like, Blocks is more of an all-rounded product. So, and what I mean by that is, like, you might not buy Viddyoze, the animation software, to make a full video. That's not really what Viddyoze is. It's like, it's a tool that allows you to create short animations and maybe like a 30 to 60 second promotional video. Whereas Blocks is like, you could make like a 3-minute video with that, basically.
Upload your own footage, all of that stuff. Anything you can think to make, you can do in Blocks, essentially.
Yeah. So the idea would be, and I don't know if this is what we'll do, but the idea that we're thinking is like we would actually put Blocks as the main Viddyoze product in the business, because it's actually it's got more market appeal than what Viddyoze has, right? So that might open up like a massive, you know, opportunity for us as a business by bringing in more people.
I think like if we think of Adobe as well, the way that it can be positioned, and we've got a lot of meetings to do on this, but where they've got the Creative Cloud that you subscribe to, you get all the apps. We're almost looking at our company and the stuff we're building as the Creative Cloud for the non-technical. So the technical user of an After Effects or an Adobe Premiere Pro, you've got to know what you're doing. You know what you're doing with Premiere Pro. I can probably figure it out, but technically I'm nowhere near a technical user. But I would use something like Blocks that allows me to put together sequences of video footage and put animation in there and create something that looks good. So I think we're trying to, I suppose we might mirror those products, but for the non-technical.
Yeah, exactly. And then echoing that, like the other thing, and again, this isn't set in stone, it's just an idea right now, but we're also looking at creating some kind of image manipulation app as well.
Yeah.
Like something where people can actually just put together some simple, I say simple, but like, you know, some cool illustrations and social media graphics and things like that. If that happens, I don't really know yet, but that's probably somewhere much later down the line, end of next year or something.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just Viddyoze 4, and then after Viddyoze 4, into the start of the next year, is we're basically looking at actually, hopefully, closing a round of investment of some kind.
Yep.
Nindy's saying, you know, some backstory on how that unfolded. Well, not sure really.
I think we've grown the business. We've self-funded everything since day one, and it's become huge. So obviously, as you know, along the way, we've had lots of opportunities of people saying, I want to invest money, I want to come and look, I want to get involved, show me, you know, are you raising? I remember when we went to, was it Web Summit a couple of years ago?
Yeah,
we had, I think it was maybe 10 to 15 meetings with investors, and every single one of them was, we love it, we want to get involved, we want to invest. And I remember we had a meeting with, I can't remember his name now, but he was from one of the biggest funds from Silicon Valley. And we sat down with him, and he basically said, look, why do you need investment right now? This was a couple of years ago. you shouldn't. You should just carry on doing what you're doing. Maybe take out some bank debt if you want to, grow the business 10 times more than you are right now, or just continue growing it. And I think when we spoke to him, it changed our mind to what investment could be. And we just carried on doing what we were doing. And then we've kind of come full circle now to look. And we've got plans, as you know, to take the technology to a more enterprise client. And I won't go into too much detail about what we're looking to do there, but where you see Viddyoze, where everybody sees Viddyoze right now as being this app that you create animations via these templates, which is great. We're going to be growing that. We've got exciting plans for that, as you've talked about. There's the underlying technology of what we've got can produce personalized content at scale, essentially. And we've got some really, really huge ideas and some massive markets that we're not tapping into just yet, but we're on the cusp of it.
Yeah.
And to go that route alongside growing videos and blocks and all the other exciting things we've got going on there, you need capital, essentially. So I think that's kind of what's brought the talk of investment. And I know we're in the early stages of talks, and hopefully that's going to produce something pretty exciting for us all, really, and then allow us to take Viddyoze to the next level that we can kind of see right now that we could get to, but it'd just take us a lot longer. And I think as they say, the time is now, isn't it? We've got to move on this stuff, really.
I think I think we could press it on, what we're doing right now, we've built up quite a large cash reserve in the business. So we are investing into the business now and growing it on our own, accord, basically.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of catch-22, really. It's like, do we just carry on doing that and, spend a couple of million of our own money to basically push it and we just keep control, or do we just get someone to help? Now, the other thing is not just money, is it? It's like contacts. Like the people that these investors would know, the doors they'd open.
Companies they already might invest in. There's a bit of, I hate the word synergy, but there is. There's something that you can kind of connect. The synergy thing, I hate words like, it's like, it just reminds me of something someone says on LinkedIn. But anything, just, they've got companies that can use our technology right now. So it would make sense to work with somebody like that can plug us into something that essentially could 10 times our business almost overnight. So
right now we've got David, who's spending quite a lot of time like trying to chase deals and trying to create some possible partnerships and things, and it's obviously like a massive drain on his time as well. And like, we need to look at moving forward, how do we actually step back and allow other people to start basically taking direction in the company. That's basically Nindy's next point here. I keep referring to Nindy. Nindy is the content guy, basically. So if I keep saying Nindy, it's not just a weird sound I'm making. It's actually his name, Narinder, if he's listening. So the whole point of the investment is like, we need to basically be in a position where we can build a management team, step back, and then somebody else can essentially take that direction, really. Like, I think there's a big difference as well, like that I've learned over the last few years, is like the difference between being like a manager and like being a founder. It's just like, I think I could safely say that we're not basically management people. Like, our speciality is in essentially executing stuff and making things happen and
coming up with the ideas and spotting opportunities. I know like when you're working in actually with the help of Nindy, I wrote a bit on my takeaways over the past 5 years, and one of the points on there was, well, two things. One of them was balance. Like, one thing that I took from lockdown, it allowed me to kind of, as the world stopped, I kind of stopped, we all did, and it allowed me to kind of reflect on, right, what's happened over the past 12 months, 24 months, 3 years, whatever. What's happening right now around me, what makes me happy, what doesn't. And it made me think more about balance between work and like home life, I suppose. And when you're working in the business on everything, having that balance is hard. and it's healthy to have it though, as we've probably all found out in some ways.
Yeah.
But then the other point I was making was it's impossible to grow a business if we're the bottlenecks on everything. So recently I've had the conversation with Nindy actually about email. So email marketing and that side of our business, we have tons of different automations and things, but I write most of those emails, or I have done. And over the course of like the last 2 months, we've had tons of meetings or about multiple different things, done tons of interviews, loads of things. And my time's been taken away from there. So we're missing opportunities just based off of the fact I am the blocker. If I'm not there to do it, and that's just absolutely, it's just stupid, really. That it's foolish that we can't, our business stops sometimes in certain areas because we're not there to do it. So we need people, I suppose the move to bring people in, mid-level, senior management, is to kind of take some of these issues off us and basically help us run this stuff. I mean, look what's happening now. I mean, we're doing these podcasts again, got these back on track. It's being driven by Nindy, who's doing a good job.
Because normally I would have to sit and figure out what are we going to talk about. And normally when we were doing these, it was just like, let's just talk about this. You know, it worked, but it's just like we just fall off it. And, you know, in a way, it's like having a bit of accountability to our team as well. Because I think one thing I read once was like, you know, it was something about being a leader and how, you know, when you want to be a leader, it's not about necessarily getting other people to follow you. It's more about actually getting other people to be able to kind of make you the malleable one and take their stuff on board and kind of direct everyone. Like, and you're kind of moving a ship and everybody's doing different shit that is really important to the business. Like, so it's not necessarily just our direction. It's like Nindy's come with all this stuff and he said, this is what I think we should do. This is what I want to do on the blog. This is what I think we should do for video content. And it's like, I could sit here and be like, well, I think we should do this because, you know, I've been here since the start and I think this is the way it needs to be. But then it's like, you know, you just got to step aside a little bit and just let people
they bring their own ideas as well. And I think, well, talk about the blog. How many, I mean, we had a blog once and we thought we needed to refresh it, take it in a different direction. And we must have talked about redoing that blog. I couldn't tell you how many times, but over a couple of years.
On the Trello board, it actually says the blog, and in brackets it says again. That's how much it's been.
So Nindy's now come in and he can formulate how that, he's got an idea of how that's going to look, the content that's got to go on there. And although we've got input in that, we're not the blocker, and we were.
No.
So
yeah, like I don't want to spend my time, and it doesn't mean that I don't think it's important. It's just that I don't necessarily think it's the best use of our time to sit there and say, that blog design looks good. Or let's make that button over here. And, you know, it's like we can't do stuff like that anymore. And we did. Like, I remember when I used to make pages for promos and it was like, I can't do this anymore. So we had to find a way around that. And, like, even the video content, like, I used to shoot the promo videos and stuff, but it's like, Dan does it now and he's fine at it. You know, he's not just fine, he's good at it. And it's like, you know, it just is what it is. And as we continue to do that now, it's like the next step of that is like finding people who can direct the people that we're directing. So it's like either Nindy, for example, would need to step into a position where he can completely lead the direction of the content himself without even speaking to me. Or there has to be somebody that can do that with Nindy and take that direction without us having to be there. And I think that's what the challenge will be moving forward, is finding people that can do that. And hopefully it will be people like Nindy and Katie who have been there. They'll learn the systems and then they're directing it and they move into that really senior position, basically.
I think as well, like, and I think even just, you know, team wide as well, not just, you know, mid or senior managers that we want to bring in to try and kind of take things further and lead more than us having to lead. Our entire team in general will thrive under that environment as well, because I know, well, lots of our team members have got amazing ideas and do amazing things with right now off their own accord, and it's just needed that little bit of organization, which when you're growing a company is hard to kind of get sometimes. Take this podcast as an example. What goes into this going out? We've got to record, well, we've got to plan what it's going to be first. We've got to block out the time, make sure we're there to do it. We've got to then record it all. and then it's got to go. It's got to then get processed and go out on all of the wherever people are listening right now, and then we're filming it with all the cameras, and then that has to be edited, and that like it'd be impossible for say you to do all of that. It would take your time for a couple of days, and then takes your time off other probably more important things. So
yeah, exactly, and that's even just that describing that element of what we do. Like there's a lot of different moving parts.
There is.
Like there's 2 cameras set up in it.
Yeah,
like,
there is. Yeah, light
someone's
setups.
got to edit this now eventually.
Like before we even hit record, Dan was in here making sure each camera was right, the focus was right, the angles. He's messed around with the lights. I mean, I don't know technically what he's doing, but he's messed around with the lights for the best part of 10 minutes before we've even hit record. Like it just, there's a lot that goes into what might just seem like a simple thing.
And then obviously the audio has to go to like a team as well that then manipulates the audio, and then it goes back to Nindy. Then it's got to go out
and then it goes to our social media team, and they chop it up
then
and repurpose it. And this is just one thing. And I would even say as well, the podcast is only a very small element of what our content is. And I suppose it'll get bigger now over time. Now we've got.
It's fresh. Like this isn't a new thing that we're doing. Like we only really have been I mean, it's like episode 10, so we've not really been doing this very long. But hopefully the consistency will build up now. But yeah, the point is like that's where the investment comes in. Really, is helping us to fund to be able to do all that stuff and keep building upon it. And I guess like moving forwards, one of the points he's got here is, how do we expand globally, like in terms of teams, new offices? Is that even a thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, do we get another office?
We'll have to see, really. I know we've got some plans. I mean, we've got a big feature coming to the new Viddyoze that I'm not going to talk much about, that does open us up to other regions that we've been kind of shut off from. So maybe that's, and there's a lot of opportunity out there, but maybe that's where it goes. But it's an exciting time. I think the US is a big area for us. We always sell in dollars, or we have done, and we've got the majority of our users, we always say, is from the US, and they are. But there are other opportunities there. We've been for meetings with the NBA out there, and there's just some big opportunities there that we hopefully will, with the help of others, tap into those over the next 12 to 24 months.
Yeah, I think with the COVID thing as well, like we have to be adaptable to what businesses' needs are going to be as well. I think video is it already was like such a big part of business online and whatever, but now it's like it's becoming critical essentially, like to actually survive on the internet. And what we're looking at, like we do personalized content. So we create content very specifically for a specific person. So we try and make all the content unique for a customer. So companies are going to have to look at how they do that. Like I can't remember who it was David was speaking to, one of the prospects that he's got in the pipeline, and they were talking about how they're spending $10,000 for a video. Yeah. Basically, like, and they get someone to come out, film it, and all the rest of it. And it's like, that's a lot of money for a video, and we're not going to be able to do that now. Yeah. Like videographers right now, especially, are really struggling to actually find work because, all the restrictions.
Shooting a big, having that big Hollywood style video or whatever you want to call them, there is a purpose and a time for that. But if you look at right now, if we look at the way COVID's affected the world, businesses are making redundancies. People's jobs are being lost. Businesses are trying to cost cut wherever they can just to stay alive. Yeah. I mean, some industries you're looking and thinking, I can't see how an industry like that can come back from this. Everything's going to change. So obviously cost cutting is going on, but businesses in general have to market. They have to be all over social. They have to be there. So when it comes to creating video content's the number one thing, and it's going to just get bigger and bigger. Yeah. Businesses are not going to be looking to spend 10, 12, 15,000 pound on a video or dollars. They're just not. It's just not going to be worthwhile to do that. What they need is consistent content, something that they can continue creating content for moving forward, and can be part of their marketing as a whole moving forward. And I think that's where we're hopefully going to come in with Viddyoze, of course, but blocks as well. Yeah, because one thing you mentioned there was like consistency. I think frequency is important. Yeah. Like, especially if everyone is suddenly having to shut up shop, what companies will have to do is produce more content
in order to like stay in front of their customers. So it's
Yeah.
like you can't spend, number one, that much money and that much time to produce content on a weekly basis. Like you can't spend 3-4 days on a video, not if that's the only thing you've got going for you at the time. So, you know, I think that's going to be a big thing, and I think that's
not
where
all videos work as well on that front. You know, you could spend that amount of time on a video. Well, look at the stuff you do. You know, you've shot, I don't know how many videos you've shot for ads, and we had the conversation the other day about, you know, the amount of new ads that we have to fire all the time, and the team that does that. And again, that's a whole other part of the business, but not every video that you create in that way, and we're lucky enough to have a video team, will take off. Some of them, I don't know, you'll know better than me on this, but some of them surely you might use for a week and it's not good enough.
Yeah,
but
like
you've spent a week to create it.
The honest answer is like the vast majority don't work.
Yeah.
Like that's the nature of the beast. Like most of the ads you put out aren't going to work. They'll work, but they're not going to be efficient.
Yeah.
Like if it was that easy, we'd be tearing even more sales than we are right now.
Yeah,
but it just isn't that easy.
We're lucky because we have a team that can consistently produce that, because that's what we do. But how can a local hair salon, or how can a tire company or a restaurant, or even not just local, you know, a small chain or a chain of, how can they continually be producing content like that? That would cost them. I mean, the setups we've got here, it would cost businesses tens of thousands of pounds to create the same. So it's just, that's impossible. And that's exactly why we've built Viddyoze and blocks, because that will hopefully, Viddyoze is the animation side of it, and we have businesses right now, you know, on the app using it consistently to create that social media content, for example, or other pieces for their content. But blocks is going to give empower a business to go, right, I'm going to get my phone out and I'm going to record me valeting this vehicle, and I'm going to record some before and after videos, and I'm going to put it together into a really cool looking video. Blocks will empower someone to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
So hopefully we're kind of positioned pretty well for what's about to happen.
Hopefully. It is a very unpredictable world right now. This has been the most bizarre year, like, of my life, I suppose. Like, it's just absolutely upside down.
Yeah, I could never. I remember when you think back to, say, March, when we went into lockdown, some of the things, this can't go on for long. Surely 2 weeks, we'll be back in the office.
Yeah.
I remember my daughter being sent home from primary school shut. Yeah, they can't keep the school shut for long. Like, they'll be back in 4 weeks. Now they'll be back in by the end of April. They'll be back in by the end of. There's no way it's going to the 6 weeks. She didn't go back to school until the new year, till the next school year. Like, I remember thinking that will never ever happen. So you can't predict.
No, that's it.
Can't predict anything right now.
That's pretty much it. That's our views on the future, where we're going. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think that covers it quite well.
44 minutes, so just on time. Cool. So hope you guys enjoyed that episode. We'll be back hopefully either next week or the week after. I'm not sure on the consistency yet, but Nindy knows. Nindy knows all. So, all right, cool. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.